Hey listeners, Mallory Willsea here, Chief Producer of the Enrollify Network. I get the privilege of working alongside all of our creators at Enrollify, but I wanted to take just a quick moment to tell you about why I love the Talking Tactics podcast hosted by Diana Kibbolds. Every other Tuesday, Day drops a new episode where she focuses on a single tactic that moved the needle on any enrollment metric, from inquiries and booth visitors to apps completed and deposits, even registrations, you name it. The catch? The tactic had to be done with limited resources, either by a single person or a small but mighty team, or limited time, or maybe without a lot of money. The podcast format is fun and engaging, and it's just different from the more traditional 60-minute interview style shows. If you work in enrollment management or marketing, be sure to give Day's show a listen. You can subscribe to the show by visiting podcast.enrollify.org or just search Talking Tactics wherever you get your podcasts.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your Monday morning energizer covering insights and trends in higher ed marketing and enrollment. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing over 15 years of ed tech and marketing expertise to your earbuds.
And I'm Seth Odell, joining the Pulse with my own adventures from leading marketing at top universities to founding Kanahoma, one of the industry's fastest growing digital marketing agencies.
Each week, we bring you the kind of insider insights you typically only find over cocktails with your pals at a conference.
It's fast, it's fun, and it's designed for you, the busy higher ed professional.
You're not just listening to another podcast.
You're checking the pulse of higher education.
Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher ed professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. All right, we're back and live from CUPRAP. This is Mallory Willsea, Chief Strategist of Enrollify, and I am with Voltaire Santos Miran, Executive VP of Creative at Carnegie, who is our closing keynote here at CUPRAP. Voltaire, are you so excited for your keynote today?
I think it's going to be a blast. I'm very excited to be talking about storytelling and AI, and very excited to be presenting with Will for the first time. It's going to be great.
Who's Will?
Will is, how to classify him? He's a strategist. He works for Seer Interactive, an incredible speaker. He's actually spoken at the Carnegie conference twice. So Mark on my team put the two of us together, and we're going to be talking about search and AI today.
Terrific. So for all of our listeners who are not at CUPRAP, tell us more about leveraging AI and storytelling. Give us a little preview of what you and will be talking about.
Sure. So I'm going to take on the idea or the topic of storytelling and AI, and the main gist of the presentation that I'm giving is that AI is best seen as a tool, not a toy, not a threat, but a tool to help us to be better storytellers. And the fact is that even though we are in this age of incredible technology, the basics, the fundamentals of story and the fundamental ways that story is a human experience, that has not changed at all. So I will be giving people 4 different scenarios and 32 different tools that they can use depending on where they are and what they're trying to do in terms of telling their story.
I have had the privilege of learning about storytelling from you for actually more than 10 years back at our M. Stoner days. And I remember you used to use that Pixar framework. I refer to that so much, the once upon a time, all the way through. And the key point that I always took away was a good story has to have conflict. Is this part of your talk this morning?
It is. In fact, we're going to spend the first few minutes talking about what makes story story. So there are 8 fundamental ways that story impacts us as human beings. So we'll be talking about that. And then we'll be talking about the parts that make a story a compelling narrative. So that would include, like you were saying, once upon a time, until one day, and because of that, until finally.
I just got so much deja vu there.
I am picturing we were at Otis College in Los Angeles doing a storytelling content workshop, and I just was like right back in that auditorium. That is wild. So where does AI fit in? Because I know there's some hesitation in the community about using generative AI to create content. And what is storytelling but content? So, where is the appropriate uses for generative AI, and how much should AI be writing these stories?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And I think it all depends on what your goal is and what story you're trying to tell. So, going back to the idea that AI is a tool, you can look at the different options that you have for AI now and you can say, all right, I'm having trouble because I'm staring at this blank page and I have no idea how to get it unblank. So, there are some really great tools to help with the first ideas or the first sentences that you want to put on a page. If you are a storyteller who doesn't like draw or sketch or doesn't take photography, then there are tools that can help you visualize on the screen what's in your mind. And when you think about text to image or text to video, you suddenly have the way or a way of capturing on your laptop what was really trapped in your mind and you couldn't sketch it out. So there are tools to help with that. If what you're looking at is operationalizing content, right, taking content and making sure that it is well deployed across your website, across email, across social, and that it is properly tagged. And Georgie, by the way, gave a really great segment on tagging and taxonomy in your website yesterday. And it's absolutely true. The more that you structure your content, the better you're able to deploy it. So if that's what you need help with, there are AI tools for that as well. So I would say that AI should be a trusty co-pilot, right? It's never going to do the heavy lifting, and you're always going to want to make your story your own. So I worry very little about most of us in the industry taking content that was generated by AI and just using it lock, stock, and barrel. But when we think about what the AI technology is based on, LLMs, right? They are incredible prediction machines. So if any tool is going to help you to play within the boundaries of those 5 parts of a story, then AI that can ingest stories in multiple formats is a perfect way for you to help propel yourself to be a better storyteller.
I think that's spot on. Actually, yesterday I also spoke at CUPRAP about AI. I co-presented with Jamie Hunt.
That was so awesome, by the way.
Well, thank you. We did pack the room, humble brag.
Standing room only, folks. I got one of the last chairs.
I love how you compare using AI like it's your trusty co-pilot. Our flavor of that yesterday was calling it an intern and treating it like it's someone on your team to be managed. You would assign your team or maybe your intern a project and they'd go off and do it and they'd come back to you. You're probably not going to just hit publish with whatever they come back with because that junior employee needs assistance, needs your insights, your expertise. You're going to take that content and help make it even better and then maybe hit publish. So I really appreciate the comments that you just made about, the right uses for AI and not just, copy pasting and then hitting send. So you've mentioned this a couple times, Voltaire, that you're going to let attendees know about some really cool tools to assist. Can you just give us maybe 2 or 3 of those tools so that listeners can go check them out too?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So if what you want to take a look at is just general, you've mastered ChatGPT and you're like, I love ChatGPT, but I need a little bit more. Like for instance, if you have 3 or 4 clients or 3 or 4 different areas and each of them has slightly different flavor of your brand voice, then you can look at a tool like Jasper, which actually remembers brand voice, and you can build those sorts of instances for each of the projects that you're working on. Love that. If you are looking at creating better presentations, there are a couple of tools like Beautiful AI and Tome that can help you to make really slick decks really incredible. And if you are looking for something to just basically operationalize content, then you can look at something like Demandwell. And are people going to get the deck that
I think so. I am pretty sure that CUPRAP is sharing, at least with the attendees here, your slide deck. Now, if you want to make that available for our Enrollify listeners, we would happily help push that out so everybody can get access to this great content.
That would be wonderful. Count me in.
All right, folks, it's going to be in the show notes. Voltaire has agreed. Well, I'll say Beautiful AI is a favorite at Element 451. We are big fans. We actually used to be fans of Jasper too, but for us, ChatGPT kind of replaced Jasper. And especially now with the custom GPTs, we've been building a lot of those internally. But I mean, wow, Jasper's an incredible tool, Beautiful AI. So folks, check out the show notes. Click the link. It's all there for you.
Well, you hinted something really interesting that I am weaving into the presentation today, this idea that technology changes so rapidly, right? So there was a time, you and I remember this, when the web was young and content management systems were proliferating, right? And we went from a dozen to more than 300-400 that were on the market. And then what happened? Over time, the software without funding, the software without a clear development path, the software without support pretty much just died, went by the wayside. And so now we have far fewer trusted content management systems that have had longevity in our industry. We're going to find the same thing, I think, with AI tools. They're proliferating right now, but ChatGPT is doing some incredible releases on a rolling basis of their work. And I mean, when they released custom GPTs, they probably put 6 months worth of startup companies completely out of business the day that they released that to the market for free. So what I would say to listeners is play around with AI, have a lot of fun with it, and understand that the tools you're using today are probably not the tools that you're going to be using 2 years from now, and that's okay.
A key nuance to the definition of innovation is that there needs to be a market for it. Someone needs to be willing to adopt it or pay for it or both. So you might have a very innovative idea or product, but if it never gets traction, if it never gets adoption, then was it really innovation?
Exactly. And I'm just so excited to see what ChatGPT is going to continue to release over time, because the goal is for it to be as usable, as seamless, as friendly as possible, right? To remove all barriers to entry. And if that's their guiding principle, then every subsequent release is just going to be easier to use, more amazing, more helpful.
Voltaire, I am so glad that we had a chance to catch up this morning in advance of your highly anticipated keynote here at CUPRAP. Would you like to leave our listeners with any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still working out in my mind completely what this means. But for those of you who are not going to be at my closing keynote, the closing thought that I have is, what if AI isn't actually the future of storytelling, but what if storytelling is actually the future of AI?
There's the mic drop, y'all.
The Higher Ed Pulse is part of the Enrollify Podcast Network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our show helps higher ed marketers and admission pros find their next big idea and features a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Brian Gross, Eddie Francis, Jenny Lee Fowler, and so many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.